Most people believe that poverty is caused by a lack of opportunity. Others blame education, the economy, or the circumstances they were born into. But if you look closely at the stories of people who rise and people who remain stuck, you begin to notice something far more powerful standing in the middle of that divide. It is not intelligence, it is not talent, it is fear. Fear is quiet, but it is incredibly powerful. It whispers in the mind at the exact moment a person stands at the edge of opportunity. It asks dangerous questions that sound reasonable. What if you lose the money? What if the business fails? What if people laugh at you? What if you try your best and it still doesn't work? And so millions of people spend their entire lives waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives. They work hard, they save carefully, they protect every dollar they earn, believing that safety is the smartest path. But years pass, and the life they hope to build never truly appears. The dream stays a dream, and the potential inside them slowly fades under the weight of hesitation. The truth is uncomfortable, but it must be said. Playing it safe can quietly destroy a person's financial future. Not in a dramatic moment, not in a single bad decision, but slowly and silently over time. Because wealth is not created by standing still. It is created by movement, by decisions, by courage, and by the willingness to step forward even when the outcome is uncertain. Think about a simple example. Two people start their careers at the same time. Both earn similar salaries. Both have similar backgrounds. One of them decides to learn about investing, takes time to study markets, and begins putting small amounts of money into opportunities that could grow. The other person keeps everything in the safest place possible, because losing money feels too painful to risk. At first, the difference is almost invisible. A few dollars here and there, nothing dramatic, but 10 years later, the gap between them is massive. One person allowed money to grow, multiply, and work on their behalf. The other person protected what they had so carefully that it never had the chance to expand. This is the quiet tragedy of fear. It disguises itself as responsibility, but in reality, it often blocks the very actions that could change a person's life. And the most fascinating part is that the people who eventually build wealth are not immune to fear. They feel the same uncertainty. They experience the same doubts. The difference is that they do not allow fear to become the final decision maker in their lives. They move forward anyway. They learn while moving. They grow while trying. And that willingness to act, even when fear is present, becomes the first step toward financial freedom. Instead of seeing failure as the end of the road, successful people learn to see it differently. When something goes wrong, the average person sees it as a signal to stop. They see loss as proof that they were not meant to succeed. But those who eventually build extraordinary results see the same situation through a completely different lens. They see it as education. In traditional education, people willingly pay thousands of dollars to learn theories and ideas. Yet when someone tries to build a business or invest in an opportunity and loses money, they often treat that loss as a catastrophe. But many successful builders of wealth understand something important. Real-world experience often teaches lessons that no classroom can provide. A failed business can reveal mistakes in strategy. A bad investment can sharpen judgment. A setback can strengthen resilience in ways that comfort never will. Every mistake carries information. Every loss contains a lesson waiting to be discovered. One small business owner once described his early failures in a way that perfectly captures this mindset. He said the first few years of his entrepreneurial journey felt like paying tuition to the school of real life. The money he lost did not feel pleasant, but the lessons he gained were priceless. Those lessons eventually helped him build something far larger than he ever imagined. When people understand this perspective, failure begins to lose its power over them. It stops being a signal to quit and starts becoming part of the process of growth. Yet it is important to understand that building wealth does not require reckless behavior. It does not demand blind gambling or careless decisions. The path forward is not about jumping into every opportunity that appears. True progress comes from calculated risk. Calculated risk means doing the work before taking the leap. It means studying the market, understanding the numbers, learning from people who have walked the path before you, and preparing yourself mentally for the possibility that things may not go perfectly. It is not about eliminating uncertainty, because uncertainty will always exist. It is about learning enough to make intelligent decisions, even when the future cannot be predicted with complete accuracy. Many of the world's most successful investors and entrepreneurs follow this principle. They research deeply. They ask difficult questions. They examine the downside. But once they reach a reasonable level of understanding, they move forward. They act while others are still hesitating. And that single difference, the willingness to act when prepared, separates those who grow from those who remain stuck. This is where confidence truly begins to grow. Confidence is not something people magically wake up with. It is built step by step through action. Imagine someone making their very first investment. The amount might be small, maybe even an amount that feels slightly uncomfortable to risk. Their heart beats a little faster as they press the button to confirm the decision. In that moment, they are stepping into unfamiliar territory. They do not yet know what the outcome will be. But regardless of the result, something powerful happens. They learn. If the investment grows, they gain encouragement and insight. If it fails, they gain experience and understanding. Either way, they become wiser than they were the day before. Over time, these small steps begin to compound. The person who once felt nervous about risking a few $100s slowly becomes comfortable analyzing larger opportunities. The mind expands, courage strengthens, knowledge deepens. Confidence, like money, compounds when it is invested repeatedly. Meanwhile, the cost of playing it safe continues to grow quietly in the background. Many people never calculate this cost because it does not appear as a bill or a loss on paper. Instead, it appears as missed opportunity. Imagine someone who spends 20 years protecting their savings in the safest place possible. Their balance might grow slowly, but inflation steadily eats away at its true value. The purchasing power declines while opportunities pass by. The world evolves, industries change, and new possibilities emerge, yet the person remains frozen in the same position. Now imagine someone else who spends those same 20 years learning, experimenting, and occasionally failing. They start small businesses. They make investments that sometimes succeed and sometimes do not. They adapt, refine their strategies, and build networks of people who think differently about money and growth. At the end of those 2 decades, the difference between these lives is not just financial, it is psychological. One person has developed courage, adaptability, and vision. The other has developed caution, hesitation, and the quiet weight of wondering what might have been. The reality is simple but powerful. Failure itself rarely destroys a person's future. Fear of failure does far more damage. And the moment someone chooses action over hesitation, the direction of their future begins to change.